I'm Stan, owner of Prepper'd Up.com. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you are looking for this site or a site like it, a website dealing in survivalist type equipment. One of the things that prepper movements are always into is what's called the bob or the bug out bag. And usually they go with two different systems. They go with what's called a minimalized bug out bag and a full bug out bag. The minimalized bug out bag basically is about this size, can be worn on the back or on the chest, and is composed of those very qualities of life which you need to sustain yourself during the time when there should be an economic downturn or earthquake or something of that nature where you can't get back to your home immediately to get your supplies. It basically handles 2 or 3 days of supplies and is kept in the trunk of your automobile or behind the back seat of your truck. Now, all of these groups seem to have different opinions as to what goes inside of this bag, which will maintain the quality of life that you need for those 2 days. So let's take a look at some of them. We've got our ammo supply for our weapon of choice, depending upon what that is. Everybody seems to carry one in their vehicle nowadays. All that's an individual choice, but for the use of this video, let's just stick with one. Knife for whittling, sighting compass, all-purpose tool, binoculars, lanyard, flashlight, first aid, gloves, water straw, can opener, mirror, pointy axe for digging roots, headlamp, sunglasses, goggles, notepad with Sharpie, water can for transporting and boiling water, fire starter, and of course duct tape. If duct tape can't fix it, it ain't broke.
To these you would add your personal selection of some kind of real-time water and food supply, eating utensil, chapstick, unless you're really hardy, some toilet paper.
Out of all of the suggestions for this minimalized bag that I've seen, the one thing that's never included in this bag is any clothing apparel. And the reason for that is basically because if you try to put clothes in a bag this size, you're not going to have room for anything else. You couldn't carry any of that equipment that you have. It'd just be packed full of the clothes. Survivalists pass over the idea of putting clothing in the bag because they figure that whenever the scenario occurs, whether it be an economic downturn, electromagnetic pulse, whatever, and disrupts civilization, whether you're at work or whether you're at play, you've got the clothing that you're wearing, and that should be sufficient enough for you to get somewhere and last for the next couple of days or so. But what if it doesn't last just a couple of days? What if it lasts longer? But what if this is your normal work attire? Is this how you want to be dressed when you try to make your way away from that earthquake, tornado, or terrorist attack? Or what if the city or town that you live in happens to be surrounded by this kind of an environment? This is the normal manner of dress that you wear because of the environment in which you live. These clothes will not protect you when it's cold, and it will get cold at night. If whatever scenario occurs prevents you from returning to your dugout where your supplies are, chances are you're going to have to maintain yourself out of that minimalized bug out bag that you're carrying. It also means that you're going to have to immediately find a source of fresh water. That probably means going to higher elevations, which means cooler climates. These clothes will not protect you in cooler climates. You're going to have something that will. Also keep in mind that whatever the weight of that pack is that you're carrying determines how much fresh water you sweat out as you try to find a source of fresh water. Gatorskins has been around for a few years. It's been used for playwear, basically recreational riders, ATV riders, motorcycle riders, golfers, tennis players, runners, that kind of thing. When I saw it, I saw that there was a much greater potential. I saw that instead of just being used for recreation, it could be a product that stands between you, your family, and Mother Nature. For the purpose of this weight comparison, we will use one AR-15 30-round Magpul clip loaded up with 55 grain military issue cartridges. 2 identical scales. Placing the clip of Magpul ammo on one scale shows that the AR-15 rounds 1 pound, 0.7 ounces. Second scale, just for check, 1 pound, 0.7 ounces. Now we'll move it back to the first scale. Gatorskins long sleeve shirt, large. Gatorskins long pants, large. We use large because that's the middle of the product line. Using that single AR-15 30-round Magpul clip as a benchmark. Long sleeve Gatorskin shirt, long pants. We can see that those actually weigh less than that single clip. Let's not stop there. Balaclava for the head, pair of gloves, pair of booties. The entire complement weighs only 3 ounces more than that single 30-round clip. Now I ask you, is that not impressive? When first you open a bag of product and pull out the Gatorskins product line, you're going to first notice that it kind of crinkles or wrinkles in some fashion. And then it has a unique aroma to it. The aroma goes away with a few washings, and the crinkleness will also go away when you wash it. It becomes supple. But you're going to say to yourself, this doesn't feel like any cloth that I've ever felt before. And you'd be right, because this particular textile has no organic materials in it. So exactly what is this miraculous featherweight wind blocker? Well, as all good products should be, it's made in the USA.
In this close-up of the fabric surface, you can see the tight-knit weave of the 3 synthetic polymers which make up the product, the largest percentage of which is polyethylene. That's the stuff that white plastic buckets are made from and is the primary component of Gatorskins. So, put that on your bucket list. The interweaving of these 3 threads produce some unique stretching abilities.
It'll stretch horizontal, but it will not stretch vertically. That's how you can tell that it's an authentic Gatorskins product. The parent company recommends that you wear it next to your skin and loose so that it forms an air bubble and doesn't get stretched, because as you stretch it out, you're stretching the cell structure, which is 300 times smaller than the cells of the human body. When you stretch it, you're allowing wind to get through that cell structure.
Gatorskins owner Mike Burke, shown here during a recent photo shoot, the final manufacturing process is a copyrighted trade secret to which he owns. That means no knockoffs. Buy American or don't buy at all. Here's Mike Burke almost 30 years ago while in the Special Forces. The Gatorskins Corporation is owned by a disabled veteran.
So now the real question is, of course, does this feather-light thermal wear actually block wind the way that the claims say that it does? It's easy to show that it does with just a minimal setup. For this simple demonstration, all we're going to need is a workstation, a candle, a vise to hold the product, and a hairdryer. We're going to affix the Gatorskins product into the vise. Remember, we have to blow from the outside towards the inside because that's the direction the wind will be blowing against your skin. This is a very simple demonstration that you can perform yourself at home. Just keep one thing in mind. Whenever using a hairdryer, be certain that it stays on cool shot. Because remember that polyethylene polymer thread that we talked about that's in the Gatorskin product, the one that's like the white plastic bucket? Well, it doesn't react well to heat, just like a white plastic bucket wouldn't. For this next test, I'm going to need a little help because we'll be working with much stronger wind speeds. What I'm holding is an air conditioning vent soffit. Basically, this goes inside of the AC vent of your house, has a light screen to keep insects from getting into your home. I'm going to take the Gatorskins material and I'm going to use a raw section of it and put it over the front of this soffit, and I'm going to glue it along the ridges so that we can insert it in the vise and that the wind will blow through the material without making it bulge out. So here we have the finished product. This is that AC vent. I've covered it on one side. On the other side you can see that the screen is still there. Pull up the material. It's only glued along the edges like I said. What we want to do is we want to hold this in the vise so that the material stays straight. It doesn't bubble out because that would stretch the cellular structure and allow wind to go through. For our next demonstration, instead of using an 1875 watt hairdryer, we're going to use this 2-speed Homelite leaf blower. This leaf blower puts out 150 to 220 miles per hour of directed wind. And I'm really curious to find out if this fabric is going to be able to hold it back or if it's going to break down, and at what wind speed it actually will break down at. So let's see if it'll blow that candle out with nothing but this fabric holding strong. Let's take a look at it and see what it does here. It held strong for a matter of a minute or more under a 220 mile per hour wind. That is absolutely phenomenal. I don't care what anybody says. I want you to try this with any other product that you got. Get out your favorite Under Armour product or your Redhead from Bass Pro Shop. Any product that you got. Do this test on it and see if it can hold up to wind like this product can, and this stuff weighs less than a pound. Well, that was exciting and an eye-opener for me. I don't think anybody in the Gatorskins Corporation has ever done this test. But as they say, one test is not a proof make. We're going to go back and we're going to retry this in a larger area so that there's no eddying currents and find out at 220 miles per hour if that candle will stay lit. So we've come to a much larger area here and we're going to try testing it again. So here it is at 150 miles per hour. We can see that the flame is starting to weave around even though there's no eddying effect because we have a complete white area here and the side currents are going out and they're dispersing. So it has to be coming through the material itself. When we go up to 220, it's still holding, but we can see that it's about ready to go out. Looking from the fabric side, we can see that the fabric is vibrating, trying to force itself through the screen. From the candle side here, we can see the fabric vibrating, trying to force its way through that screen vibration on the pedestal that is causing the candle itself to try to vibrate off. But the flame is still going, and it's holding strong, and I believe it would keep holding strong. But I think that if we increase this to about 225 to 250 miles per hour, that would probably be the limitation of this particular product. I would rate the Gatorskins material as far as wind speed at a breakdown area of around 225 miles per hour, but that's phenomenal.
Phenomenal, because according to the Vegeta scale governing tornado winds, anything over 200 miles per hour is an F5 tornado. That means that Gatorskins would protect you from the wind from an F5 tornado. Now, it wouldn't protect you from projectiles, glass, tree limbs, stuff like that blowing through you, or from you actually blowing down the street, but the wind wouldn't get through.
To conserve space inside of your bug-out bag, place your garments inside of one of these vacuum space bags. And you're going to want to use a bag that's either a small or a medium. The other sizes are much too large for the product size. You can place them all on top of one another, or for a medium-sized bag, you could place them side by side. If you lay them side by side, that finished product comes out to be less than an inch thick. Should you have a small bag, you're going to have to pack the items on top of one another. It's placed on top of one another, it comes out to be about 2 to 3 inches tall. If you're like me, when you get the product and try it, you're going to want to wear it in the wintertime around the house. You're not going to want to store it in a space saver bag. What I have here is a coffee canister. Just happens to be the same size as a water can, about 9 inches by 5 inches, that I carry for boiling water and keep in my bug-out bag. So what I do is I just take my shirt, this is my long sleeve shirt, I roll it up, put a rubber band around it, and you can just put it right down inside of that top can. You go ahead and push it down in there, take your booties, put them right on top, pair of gloves, they'll go right in there. Balaclava goes right on top. Just push all that in there. This stuff compresses really well. Go ahead and shut the lid. You've got your product inside of your water can in your bug-out bag. You can take it out anytime you want. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take your favorite Gore-Tex jacket, roll it up, and see if you can jam it inside of a coffee canister. Thanks for watching. And if you've watched to the end of this tape, it's pretty certain that you are a survivalist and you've probably already made a sizable investment in some kinds of weapon system and protective gear. One thing that I didn't mention is that Gatorskins not only blocks wind, but it also wicks sweat. So wearing a Gatorskin shirt under your protective armor is a perfect choice. Not only does it block wind and keep you warm, but it also wicks sweat away. And if you've ever worn plates, you know how sweaty it can get while wearing these. American made, weighs ounces, not pounds. Blocks winds at 220 miles per hour, wicks away sweat, compresses easily. Gatorskins are wondrous. Are you preppered up? We are.